I'm thinking like that they all knew about me.
Oh, no.
We apparently, about 5 minutes from the house, Pete texted, bringing a girl. So...
We are here with Rachel Feinstein and Pete Brennan. Is that okay that I said your last name? We can cut it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure.
It's no secret.
The famous Pete.
I don't know about that.
You guys are great. Your special Big Eye on Netflix is fucking fantastic.
Oh, thank you guys so much.
You really capture. I've been obsessed with firefighters, like sexually, for a long time until I went to a firefighter single mixer.
Oh no!
And I went and I was so excited because everybody on the podcast knows how obsessed I am with firefighters, and they're like, "Gotta go to this mixer."
I've been trying to tell her she likes like fucking poets, and I was like, "That's
want like an
not
emotionally." And I went there.
They're deserts emotionally.
And there was one hot guy. I was like, "Oh, he's really hot." Sat down next to him. The first thing he says, and I'm just quoting him.
Can I guess? Yes. My cousin stopped getting a period when she got the vaccine. Legit, never got it again.
Close. It was before COVID. Right. He goes, "This bartender's so fucking retarded. I asked for a tequila soda, not a vodka soda, fucking retard." I'm like, wow, all right, I'm gonna go.
That's beautiful.
He was so hot, and I'm like, no.
That would have destroyed on Kill Tony.
Yes, it would have. It would have. So, and then you talk about in the special, like you the emotional, like the depth is a little shallow, but then you go into burning buildings for a living, which is why the attraction's there in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Why? What is that? What is that? Why are you guys all? What's up?
We're kind of like comics, I guess. The highs are highs, but the lows could be low. But, we like that adrenaline. You know?
Yeah.
After we get pumped after a good fire, we'll be like, whoa, that was a good job.
Well, have you ever gotten pumped after like a good connection?
A good connection?
Yeah, it's thrilling.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
To be vulnerable?
It's definitely a different kind of pump, though. Like,
yeah.
A less good one.
I mean? Like,
she's not talking about getting laid, but it's like, yeah, after the third pump, that's when I really start gaining steam.
Oh my God.
And by the way, with all due respect and thank you for your service,
Sure.
that is a wild lie. No, he doesn't. He runs from any emotional discussion of anything.
Yeah. I could tell by the
the fire building's easier.
Right.
Yeah.
there was Esther Perel's this great relationship writer, and she had a guy on who was FDNY, and he ended up becoming a psychologist, but he works with men on masculinity, and he goes after 9/11, these guys were ashamed to have a panic attack. After being in 9/11, they would go away and be like ashamed to have a panic attack. I'm like, you were in 9/11. Are you have a panic attack anywhere you want? Like, and so that opened my eyes to like, oh fuck, that's worse than I thought.
Yeah.
I was post 9/11. I got on the end of 03.
Oh.
But I was in Manhattan College, and we saw it all happening from the Bronx. It was pretty wild. But yeah, I think now they really went 180 with like the mental health in the fire department, which is good. Yeah.
So there's more services available to you?
Yeah.
Because you see shit.
Yeah.
That's traumatizing.
I've seen a lot of stuff. Yeah.
What's like top 3?
I have about 20 years on the job now, so I've seen some stuff over the years. I've seen I remember one, like a guy hung himself. I think he was all blue. I saw that. That was pretty wild. Then I remember
Why
just
they call you?
That's a good question. Yeah.
By the way, can I say that is a good question? Like my friend was like, because Pete's like, by the way, he always answers me in phrases that I don't understand. He's like, because we do ABCs. I'm like, what does that mean? And he goes, airways, breathing, and circulation. Like I'm a dumb bitch. I'm like, how the fuck was I supposed to know that?
ABCs.
He's like, ABCs. That's why he'll answer me. The shortest possible answer. Like he'll be like, 3rd Battalion, ABCs, 1075. I'm like, I don't know these codes. Like I'm a Jew from Bethesda.
Yeah.
Like my dad's name is Howie. He dresses like he shops at the used bookstore. He'd be like, come on, ABCs. And I'm like, wait, what's that? So that's airway, breathing, and circulation. So they're the first, and that's in New York. That's not true everywhere.
Oh, okay.
But they basically...
you see how she remembers ABCs now?
Yeah.
So you get these little tricks, and they work.
Right.
She's got to do some digging to find out what it means.
But the trick is that you could explain it to me in the first place. You couldn't, he rolls his eyes and he'll look at me like, he'll text me in military time. I'm like, what time are you coming by? 20 over 400. I'm like, I don't know.
Military time drives me nuts.
I hate military time. My boyfriend's European, and he does military. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not. It's C. Like, can you just give me like? Are you going to come at 4 or 4:30? But he always, from the very beginning, he'd be like, I'm like, how was your day at work? Like, I'm thinking he's going to be like some hot little fire fact, and he'd be like, oh, it's 1077. It was a fire in a high rise. Yeah, we got. It was like, oh, we just missed it. We were boxed out. We didn't read the ticket. I'm like, I don't know what any of these. What ticket? Like what? Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I guess I don't realize how much jargon there is.
Yeah, because it's your everyday speak.
That's how we
amongst
speak,
your
and
guys.
like amongst everybody gets it.
Now, what do you? Now, what did you think, Pete, when you came? You got the call and you saw the guy hanging, and his face was blue. What was going through your mind?
I mean, you got to kind of play it like. You're probably like nonchalant, kind of. Like it's just
he's not going to care.
You got to be coy when you come across
We might have to cut that
blue,
later. We can assess it. Yeah.
I'm a child of trauma, but like when stuff happens, I've called 911 on so many New Yorkers, like honestly, at least 15 times.
On other people?
Yeah, because they've had a medical emergency, and but when there's a medical emergency that I've witnessed, and I've not witnessed anything that brutal, I'm like fucking superhero, and it's such a rush. So I kind of get it where you're coming from, and you do have to remain calm and vigilant. You don't know who around you is related to the person. Everyone's freaking out. It is a high to be the calm in a hurricane.
It's also the one thing, like, I mean, it's like the exact qualities that serve their job, or the exact qualities that make a disaster in a relationship.
Right.
Like, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, you have to work pretty hard on becoming available again emotionally. Like my friend was talking to Pete about how like her mother was passing away, and she said in the final like moments of her life, the FDNY came. It was like during COVID, so she basically had to be like her nurse, and she said, and you give them morphine at the end, and like so, which is very common to administer morphine like as someone's dying, but often people will blame themselves, like, did I give them too much morphine? And so she was really emotional, like teary-eyed, telling this whole story to Pete, and she's like, and then the FDNY came and they took over, and she's like, and I didn't realize though, like, what if I gave her too much, because then she had passed away. And Pete was like, and I looked at Pete and I just gave him a look, and he's like, well, how much did you give her? And I'm like, no, just tell her she didn't kill her mom. Tell her she didn't kill her mom. But he doesn't realize in that moment, he just needs to give her. Yeah. He's like, yeah, but she didn't give me the exact measurements. I'm like, no, you gotta tell her she didn't kill her own mother. Yeah. But he doesn't always realize in those moments, like, remember we were at that wedding, and this guy, Pete's like college buddy, comes up to him. He was getting married. He walks up to Pete and he's like, man, I love you, man, more than anything in the world. He was obviously, shit-faced, but he's like, it means a lot that you made it here. And he's like, our childhood, everything. You were the one. You were my closest one. Pete goes, all right, buddy, okay.
Oh, no.
And then he just like zoomed off in the other direction. Yeah.
Well, the psychologist, that same psychologist I was talking about, he goes, I know guys that would have gotten, like, if they got a piece of glass ripped open their arm, they would take I knew a guy that took a piece of tape, put it on the arm, and ran into the burning building. Now, that is the guy I want to save my family. So that's like these qualities that you have that do cause emotional, like, but they're also really good qualities. So it's like that balance.
They're perfect for the job. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for the job it's great because you just get like that focus on just your task.
Do emotions scare you?
Yeah. That's good. That was in her special. Rachel kind of talks about how she does the British novel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
When I want to like express something to him, I'm just like, she was alone in this marriage. Yeah.
It was a yellow
He didn't
finch.
know to touch her when he came home or ask a question. Like, he's never like, when my plan lands, I'm like, you have to be like, did your plan land? Did you get in okay? I don't need too much. Like, I'm on the road for like 20 years. Like, I'm used to, I'm just like, you gotta just be like, how was that? Are you okay? And he's like, you're probably fine, right? I'm like, you gotta ask, because you're my husband.
Well, my mom,
be her protector.
Yeah, I'd have to go missing for weeks before he would look for me. Like, it would be like a solid 3 weeks. Like,
well, you should talk to my mom, because my mom famously said, well, if the plane goes down, we would see it on the news.
There you go.
Your mom's the same way. Wow, that's exactly
smart woman right there.
Are you
Air travel's like super safe. I don't know. Come on. Let's get real here.
To ask me like a question. I was in the middle of taping my Netflix special, my first half hour, and I had to tell Pete, listen, when I'm taping something, you have to send a text. Like, I was like, send a text. A text, okay?
You have
like, I'd long let go of like flowers or grander gesture. And he's like, why? It's going to be fine, right? I'm like, no, it's because of, you want to just you check in, just a vague swipe of a check-in. Right. This is a special, okay? Yeah. I'm about to go on stage. No text. And then I text Pete, like, Pete, I'm about to go on for my Netflix special. He goes, oh, I'm talking to my college buddy.
What? Pete. Pete. Why?
Then I go, who? And then he's like, I can't remember who it was. Who was it? I don't know.
Yeah.
And okay, so I call the guy because I know his number, right? Because he's a therapist, so I always call him when I want Pete to like become emotional. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? Like, he just screams about the founding fathers, like, and punches the microwave if he has a feeling, you know? And so I'm like, Gabe, what do I do? And Gabe was like, I go, are you on the phone with Pete? He goes, oh yeah, we've been talking for like 15, 20 minutes about the pool, football, pool and stuff. I'm like, did he mention that I'm taping a Netflix special? He's like, no, that never came up. I'm like,
my God.
yeah. Yeah, and then I FaceTime him, and I'm like, do I look okay? Which is what I always ask him. And what do you always say? You go, there you go. I'm like, that's not an answer.
Solid.
That's what you say when you're
Solid.
or solid.
Pete.
Looks solid.
Or if I'm wearing a dress, like the other day, I remember I came in, I was like, do I look all right? He goes, denim. I'm like, you can't scream out the material. No, it's a compliment.
Red
I'm
dress.
Like 3% spandex. No.
When was the last time you cried, Pete?
Oh, it's been a little while.
You don't say.
Can you remember it even?
Like a real cry?
What's
Yeah.
What's
It's a fake cry.
What's the other option?
I don't know. Maybe like when you watch like a commercial or something.
I
like a
knew
little
it was going to
teary eye.
relate to a commercial,
Men getting
like a
their
holiday
emotions out of
commercial.
Just a little tear, you know?
What gets okay? So let's
You know what he
start.
cries about? Like when old Brooklyn changes. That's
Oh,
what like gets him emotional.
Oh,
He's like, yeah, that, it's not like it used to be with them buildings were over here. And then, but yeah, our wedding, not a single tear, my friends. Yeah.
Now, Rachel, does that make you go, I'm not going to fucking cry either? Or are you like, well, I'm going to still express myself emotionally? Because for me, I know I would get like a little butthurt from that and then just like put a little bit of a wall up.
You know what? That's a really good question. And you know what it feels like to be married to a first responder? It feels like, I've always wanted to go to confession. I'm a Jew, so I was always jealous of confession. I always wanted my brother to like hold up his sheet and pretend. Like, something so exciting about it to me. I'm jealous of all things Catholic, obviously. But it feels like if you were doing confession and then you just had a feeling that the priest left, like you were in the middle of the darkest admission of your life, and you're like, I don't think he's
Or you hear,
back there. Yes. Speaking of snoring, often when I'm discussing something emotional, I would say it puts you right to sleep. Like, I'm like, yeah. That is often
It's
where
comforting.
Pete gets really drowsy. Yeah. Yeah. When I'm kind of emotional, you'll be like, yeah, the times I have wept. It's not that and the thing, I will say this about you is you're not defensive when we went to therapy, like, because he's very direct. Like, it's just all like the stats, the hard stats,
Yeah.
So, like, usually it's his side, your side. So I'll be like, yeah, like he didn't send me a message when I taped the Netflix special, or
Yeah.
If I say, do I look okay? He goes, there you go, or whatever, and then I'll be like, yeah, he doesn't really support me like emotionally. Or if I ask for a hug, he goes, you're good, right? You can get there without a hug or something. And the therapist was like, is this true? Peter's like, oh yeah, all of that, yeah, like nothing. Do you have anything to add? Nah.
she pretty much
Okay.
And then she'll be like, have you had the same experience in last relationships? An opportunity for him to really gaslight me. No one's ever said this before. He goes, no, they all say that. They all say like emotionally they feel very alone and kind of empty.
You can work with it because he's
so
honest about it.
you're acknowledging it.
Yeah, you're right. I acknowledge it, and I'm not denying it.
Okay.
But it's funny. This goes all the way back to like high school. Like I played basketball in high school, and I remember the coach one day is just like, Brennan, do you have any emotions at all?
Oh, Jesus.
Because
If
I
they're
used
yelling
to-
it in sports,
Yeah. But he was like this Bobby Knight light, like this guy that would just red face, throw things, kick things, like
Okay.
curse. He was one of those guys. And I was kind of just like,
Just smiley.
So you won't get really sad, but you also won't get really angry. It's just no
I'll let
emotion.
you take on this.
Yeah, I've gotten angry. Don't get me wrong. Like, everyone gets angry, but for the most part, yeah. Like if it's, I'm pretty much just like, I don't know, kind of like stoic-ish.
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
just like at least I try to be.
I would say for like 2 months, and then that he pops off, which is probably true.
Yeah.
We're emotional beings.
That's what happens. They bottle it up, but that's true of a lot of first responders. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, why is there a dent in my microwave? And my brother was like, Pete probably put it there. I'm like, it's always there. Yeah. So it's like, so it would be like flat, and then you would like scream about like the founding fathers or like or something about like Facebook or something and like taxes. Yeah. But it would really maybe be other things and not really the tax code.
What were your parents? How close were you with your parents? Because if it goes back to
my
high school,
parents are like complete opposites. Like my mom is like this short little Colombian woman born in Colombia.
Okay.
Like from Cali. She immigrated here in the late 70s. And then my dad's like this Irish American guy who grew up in Brooklyn, like it's pretty much his whole life. So my mom's like the Spitfire, and then my dad's like super quiet. So the kind of like contrasts.
Starts to track a little though.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Did they fight?
Well, my mom would shout at everything. Every little thing.
Okay.
I think that was just normal.
You could just like that's still jarring your nervous system, regardless. even if she's excited about it.
Anything. Yeah. Like she would raise her voice like.
All day long. Whenever I'm over there, it's like fascinating. The dad's like, get right, come on, get out of here, scram. He always tells her to scram, which is amazing. He's always like, hey, scram, leave me alone, scram. And she's like, you idiot, what is wrong with you? Like he loses something and she'll go like, but it's all day long, like, look at this spot on the floor, Peter. And when she comes to our house, it's just like, Peter, why would this be like this? This needs to be here. It could be like,
a lot.
Yeah,
that is a lot.
It could be like
that would make me mute.
Yeah. And she has produced some of the quietest sons.
That makes sense. Well, wait. So, question for you, Pete. What was it like to fall in love with Rachel?
Oh, that was fun.
Stop. I'm so sorry.
It was a game of ping pong.
It was fun. Like a game of ping pong.
Oh, that was fun.
No, it was great because we got set up. Actually by another fireman, and we met at a Christmas stag, like in Fort Greene, Brooklyn.
Okay.
I don't know, we just hit it off, and then like in the beginning, it was just, I don't know, so new. I never dated a comic before, so it's just like...
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it was cool. It's just different, and we did a lot of traveling, and got to, meet a lot lot of people, see some cool shows.
Who said I love you first?
See how he just tells you the activities that he did together?
Yeah.
Very
He's like bowling, he's like hiking. It's literally like how somebody fills out a Bumble profile. It has nothing to do with the emotions. It's just like the interests on a Bumble profile. Yeah.
We did have an early bowling date too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a date where we went to bowl. Okay, we haven't had sex yet. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
So you think this guy is like,
on my butt.
going to be trying pretty hard to close this up.
Right.
My friend took Pete's picture to a psychic, early on. I know,
some shit I would do. That's some shit I would do.
And she goes, listen, my friends all called Pete Backdraft. They were like, they said Backdraft's a good guy, just one thing, one warning the psychic gave.
Oh.
And she goes, she said he always has to win. And I'm like, it's fine with me. I don't care about winning. Like second to last is fine for me. I'm like, that's fine. Yeah, he could win. So then, cut to the second date. We go bowling at some dive bar in Williamsburg or something. And Pete's getting a spare every single, and I'm just right down the gutter again. To the point, when you bowl that bad, it just makes you feel confused, an archaic sadness to it. Yeah. I just wanted to be good enough that it could be cute. I could look back and smirk. I'm like, I got it, see, I'm like a boy, but I'm just a hole at the same time. So I just wanted to be just good enough. But I was it was depressing after a while. I was in a low grade depression, just right down the. I go, can I do your turn? And Pete's like, no, the rules are the rules. It's my turn. Because in his mind, he's like, I gotta win. I'm like, there's no one watching. If a tree fell in a forest, yeah.
I had a good score. I had to keep it going.
What moves you? Because you are, you witness some really extreme situations, right? And you witness people at the end of their life, right after the end of their life, dying, about to die. It's just so intense. So that's obviously has to be moving. But in life, what moves you?
I mean, right now it's. I guess right now, just watching Frankie, right? That's always fun. That's our daughter, 4 years old. That's
she's
just
so cute.
She's such a fun age right now because it's just everything is just I don't know, so exciting and you know what I mean. So that's cool, and also we see some bad things at the fire department. We also see great things too.
Oh, like what?
Just people getting rescued, or even people that overdosed and we Narcan them, they come right back now.
Nice.
So it's it's not all bad.
And
stuff.
delivering a baby.
Yeah, we delivered
You
a baby.
delivered a baby?
Oh,
Yeah, it was funny. We delivered a baby.
Firefighters can do that?
Yeah, I was working with a guy.
It's my dream
If it's
birth.
pre-hospital.
Oh, okay.
So we delivered a baby with a guy, Lappin, that I used to work with when I was a fireman, and he helped deliver the baby on his birthday.
Oh,
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's
So,
cool.
Yeah. So that was kind of that was my one and done for pregnancy.
Okay, but it's the last time you've cried that wasn't over a commercial.
Oh man,
God, you're
I gotta go back. Yeah, I guess
Like years?
for me. I guess like when my grandma died.
when was that?
That was during COVID.
Okay, so a couple years ago.
Yeah,
I was in the airport.
That was at the
tell
airport,
him, and
too,
I was
yeah.
like,
You told him?
well, his mom like texted me. We're about to get on a flight, and she's like, you need to tell Pete, but like that was her mother. But yeah. So I had to tell him right before this flight.
Oh,
That was
so
very
sad.
yeah. Like I thought maybe I would have cried when like Frankie was born, but I was more like excited and happy.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you hear like the dad's weeping and
Yeah.
stuff. But
Yeah.
that was more just like, oh, this is cool, and like I don't know, it's pretty wild. Like wow.
Yeah.
It was
You're
more
like that Pete Davidson character on SNL. You're like, oh, okay. I guess we're doing this now. What's that? What's his name?
I don't know if I'm that bad.
I asked you about feeling and you laughed.
Humor is an emotion, I guess.
Yeah. I guess I got the humor. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, obviously you appreciate humor, so that's like a start of kind
Yeah.
of your relationship with emotions.
Yeah, I do appreciate good humor, and so.
But you also seem like mentally even keeled in terms of like, do you have like mental? Do you have depression?
Well, no.
don't have to talk
I've seen.
about all the stuff
I've
you don't
talked to a therapist
Oh, yeah,
now.
yeah.
I see a therapist now, which
I mean,
I didn't do before.
Yeah,
So like I
that's
would
great.
bottle a lot of stuff up, and
Yeah.
So now it's different. Now I kind of took advantage of some of that stuff and everything.
Yeah.
So I think that helps.
Yeah, it opens you up.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, I will say all of these, people that every first responder family really, 'cause they're like half my crowd now is all like firefighters all over the
Yeah.
country, and
Oh, wow.
and usually their wives, sometimes their husbands, but it's like, yeah, they all have the same exact almost.
Wow.
It's almost eerie cocktail of issues, and honestly, the whole family kind of deals with it.
Sure.
And then other weird things that I wouldn't expect to be so specific. Like after the special aired. Like somebody from I think it was like Finland wrote to me, and they're like, yeah, they're all obsessed with Bitcoin, and they all do the same thing when they come home from the house. They all love crypto
trade
here
your
too.
Bitcoin
Yeah.
in person.
And they all they're like paid by the government, but don't
Yeah.
entirely trust it. And then they go back, and then she's like, oh, my husband also does the morning round. So I've learned a lot about firefighters because of the material I do. Sometimes I just tell a joke and I don't realize it has to do with the firefighter thing. And then they come up to me after and they explain everything to me. The other badge baggers, who I really appreciate, the other fire twats, siren sluts, they come up
Siren
after.
sluts? That's amazing.
That's the literary term.
That's great.
So they'll come up like this one woman was like, because I have a joke in the special about how Pete goes around, when he comes back from the firehouse, I'm like a kid in an 80s movie. I'm like, fuck, he's walking up the lawn. Like I'm just throwing shit in drawers because he's just so OCD, he'll fold his dirty laundry, like his side of the bed. Yeah.
Really?
Like his side of the bed is like, like it looks like he's going to make a suit out of my skin. And my side is just like fucking,
mess.
just jacked. Yeah. So when he comes back from the firehouse, he walks around our home and he's like, what's this? Talk to me about this over here. What happened over here? Looks like you brought some dishes to the sink, but you never really rinsed them and put them in the dishwasher. and I didn't know. And I'm like, I talk about this special, like he's going to write up an incident report, but it was actually like another fire wife that explained to me in one of my shows. She was like, he's doing that because they do the morning drills because that's what they do at the firehouse, and they go around and ask, what's this, what's that, what's going to happen if this happened, and that's exactly what he does to me. But I didn't know it had to do with the firehouse. But they all explain everything to me. They're like, no, I was like, oh, it's like sad that they have to have second jobs, and my friend's like, no, it's because they're traumatized and they don't want to sit still and go up to you. It's not because they don't make enough money. Like I thought they didn't pay him enough because they all do like 4 jobs, and she's like, no, it's because they can't sit still.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But they are exposed to so much, so the whole family is kind of exposed to it, But
Right,
but then there's
right.
also all the highs of the job. So I do feel like that's part of like, I don't know, like, I mean, Pete's almost like, I feel like you're almost like an accidental feminist. Like he's not jealous. He doesn't care about my job because he loves his job. And they work like we work. They're on 3 days and they're off the rest of the week.
nice.
So like he gets a kick out of it and was the first guy that was like, sure. Like, it's fair to guess he probably thinks feminists are like Nazis or something, but like but you are like that. Like he's like, I don't care if you change your name. Like that's your name. Do what you want with it. He's about keeping his fucking shit straight,
Yeah.
So it's like you're very like, hands off with everything with my career because he's not gonna be mad if I work on Christmas because he might be working on Christmas.
Right.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. But the morning routine, the funny, I guess she talked about it too. There were 3 open seltzers. That was a true story. Remember that?
Yes, he's reminding everybody that I had 3 open seltzers one morning.
I feel like that's just like a woman thing that we always have like an almost finished drink lying around.
Yeah.
Because it's a little too much.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. It's a little too much.
Just
over.
Yeah. You got to do a little less.
And how are you emotionally, Rachel?
And Pete like tracks seltzers, you know. Well, he's always like, "What's this? This street right here. This street open right now. You want to explain this to me?" And you always think I'm going to have like a solid report. I'm like, "There's not going to be any good excuse for this."
Yeah, you got to open a fresh one because it's not fizzy anymore.
Yeah, and then it's just water,
and you need the fizzy.
Fuck's the point of that?
Yeah, but then you have three that go flat.
Yeah.
I guess you could have dumped it and recycled,
like
but
gulps of seltzer. Like
yes, a
little
gulp. That's what you need. You just need a gulp.
Sometimes
You're right. You just need a sweet little gulp because I'm so tiny.
My mouth's so little.
I'm just a little. But yeah, no. I mean, I think like you do. Me emotionally. I mean, my father was sort of like in a rush down the aisle, has never said I love you, like for opposite reasons. Like he's just kind of like this neurotic to me.
Oh.
Like he's like, come on, let's go. Like on my wedding day, I was like, we gotta go, we gotta get over it. Like I'm like, do you have somewhere to be after this, Dad? Yeah. So although I will say like he's not, a man's man. Howie Feinstein is a piano player and he was a civil rights attorney, but I feel like I do tend to try to like save guy and like, I remember calling very early in my 20s, just like calling AA like again and again and being like, you understand, he's an alcoholic. Like I was dating this guy and they're like, yeah, he has to be the one that called. And I'm like, he's not going to call. He thinks shots are the problem. Like I didn't even get it that I wasn't supposed to be the one calling,
Right.
Yeah. So I feel like I have to, like I get very obsessed with trying to like help and and
usher you into your emotional life, but it's like you are your own person,
right? Fix it all, and
relationships are wild, especially when you live together. And I haven't experienced this, especially when you procreate together. Like, you're just like who they are to you is. I don't know. It's like, how like it's hard to direct yourself in like a stand-up act. Like you need like an outside because you're in it, It's like when you're in a relationship, sometimes you just get so like enmeshed just because physically you're just around each other a lot. But it sounds like you guys have time away, days away.
Yeah.
Where you're not around each other.
Yeah, like I'll do 24s. I'll be out of the firehouse for 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
And then sometimes she'll travel alone. Now that we have Frankie's, we don't travel as much together.
Yeah.
We still try to here and there. But so we have time apart.
Yeah, and then I think in the beginning, I was like, remember we went back to he introduced me to his families. Do you remember what happened then? Do you want to tell them?
For what?
Around Christmas?
Well, yeah. So he's like, so we've been dating like, 2 months. I really liked him a lot. But I was like, had no idea how he felt about me. Like it's anyone's guess. Still, I'm not entirely sure. And then he texts me any interest in like going to Chris up to my family's for Christmas. Any interest is such a P text. Yeah. So like I showed it to all my friends. I'm like, he's inviting me to his family for Christmas.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like that they all knew about me.
Oh no.
We get there. And I had maybe 30 presents for everybody because I'm like, this is Christmas. I want to bring a ton of stuff and get it all right. And then apparently about 5 minutes from the house, Pete texted, bringing a girl. So they were all furious.
How old are you?
Peter. I must call you Peter.
I was in my 30s at the time.
So I didn't understand, but like it felt like every gift was wrong because they were just opening it and like. But I know that they were just more and more upset with him because they had nothing for me and didn't know who I was.
Right,
so I was like, what am I doing wrong? Am I getting like what aspect of Christmas? Aww. And then remember what I did after that?
Was that the same or was that the following?
Maybe that was the next year.
Either one was around the same time.
Yeah.
I guess as soon as he walked in, my brother's wife's making this mulled wine.
Uh-huh.
And Rachel goes, yeah, I'll try a little bit. So she picks up and she takes a drink. And my brother goes, no, that's not the wine. It ended up being a candle.
Oh my God.
Candle wax, Rachel.
She took a mouthful of candle wax.
Holy shit.
Down your throat. That's like my biggest fear.
No burns. It was everything superficial, but everything congealed. Like right here. So she had like purple wax teeth. And that's how we
It's like,
started.
this is how Pete brings back like a Jew for Christmas.
I was gonna say, yeah.
With a mother that like would have preferred to marry him. Like I had to, you know what I mean? This is a woman that keeps like an impeccable house. And, and then I come over and drink wax.
Yeah.
I drank wax in
heavy,
4 minutes.
It was a heavy sip.
The whole
too.
family was just like,
It was a good.
You want
Yeah.
to show that you love the wine.
it just curled all around my teeth. And I just remember all the family just stopped and like froze. And they just like looked at Pete, looked back at me. And I was like, okay. And then I just went upstairs. I think your brother talked about it at our wedding toast. He was like, and then with the grace of the Queen of England, Rachel went upstairs and softly removed the wax from her teeth and just reemerged like nothing had happened at all.
She bounced back. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I've never heard of that one. That's crazy.
But then I feel like they liked me because I
No, you played it off great. And I guess in your defense, the mulled wine did look like the candle.
Yeah.
You know.
Honest
both
mistake.
like in a mug and they were both purple.
So no one, while you
I
reached
just-
for the glass and then you put it up, no one said no.
Probably happened so fast,
I
I'm
don't know if
guessing.
they were watching the sip. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just like spun around.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an honest
His
mistake.
brother's wife, who I will say does run a pretty impeccable home.
runs a tight
yeah.
ship.
Love that.
Yeah, she just turned around. She was like, okay, well, that's not candle. that's a candle. That's not wine.
Oh my God.
Okay, Mike, I think Pete's girl just drank a candle.
Oh my God.
You drank a fucking candle
On Christmas.
on Christmas.
Now let's
Yeah.
go back to the part where you send the text. Why didn't you think to say that you were bringing Rachel more than a couple minutes ahead of time?
I don't know. It's a great question. I just kind of
think
like
about it?
Like, don't you think they have to like make a place setting for her at the dinner table or
Well,
something?
I think
Yeah, like enough
that's-
food if she has
yeah.
dietary restrictions.
I think it was more than 5 minutes. I think maybe I gave him like a half hour or something.
Still day of, though. Even day
Generous.
of. Even day of, to be honest. Morning of. Okay.
Well, it wasn't even on Christmas. It was like a follow-up Christmas because everyone couldn't make it together. on
Okay.
Christmas.
But it was
So
still
it wasn't
planned.
like it wasn't as
Basically, they celebrated Christmas about 5 days afterwards because Pete was doing a 24. He had a day and night tour on Christmas. So they scheduled like but I'm not really sure that's
yeah. And then my cousin
point.
likes to host, so they kind of alternate. So we did it with my cousin.
Either way,
So now
you
they
told him.
wanted to do presents at their house. So
Why'd
the
you tell
whole
them half hour before?
Seemed like the right time. I don't know.
Were you like nervous? Was anything going through your head? Were you nervous about bringing Rachel home, or like would you just?
No, I think I just like kind of forgot. I think it was one of those things. You ever do this where you're like, oh, I got a text about this, and then like I'll do it in a couple minutes, and then
Yeah.
you kind of just forget about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually.
Then I'm like, oh wait, I think I forgot, and then I kind of texted.
Okay.
you know?
Okay.
One of those.
Logistical answer.
Yeah, it just kind of slipped my mind, kind of thing.
Right?
sort of like texting your girlfriend the day of her Netflix special.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. You went to do it.
Yeah, I went to do it, and then I was like, oh wait, I got to do something, and then like I
Right.
just forgot.
Okay.
Yeah, happens to the best of us.
Now,
Sure.
now, has anybody in your life ever forgotten something like an important date for you, and you were affected by that? Or you were like, or even in just a little disappointed.
Little disappointed. I don't know. I guess maybe when I got promoted to lieutenant or captain, some people didn't show up, and I was kind of like, oh, I thought this person would show up. Or,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, that sucks.
But
yeah.
I wasn't like, my day's ruined.
Not devastated. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it
But
wasn't like
yeah, it's not about. It's not that bad.
But it was kind of just like, it would have been nice if so and so
Yeah.
showed up, or
It is
something
funny
like
at the
that.
captain's ceremony. So Pete told me that we were going to do a captain's ceremony. That was like when we got promoted. And so they call it getting made, right? Which is funny because everything in the fire department is very like similar to the mafia in a way. They keep it all inside. You know what I mean? Like if we need a plumber, we keep it inside the family. If the guy's not a plumber, he's got to be from the fire department. Yeah.
Right.
So everybody that's working in our home as a fireman, everything's very like handled inside, you know?
Yeah,
And our boy Petey's getting made. And they all love him as a boss, his firehouse, because they always say like, he's very easy, very cool under pressure. Like that guy Stefan at your old house was saying, like, you talked him through his first fire, you helped him with his breathing, and he's a very good, very easy boss. They say no ego, very like nice. So they came out with Pete was like, I hadn't really, I didn't know your family. I think that might have been the first time I met your mom before Christmas, and so I didn't really know his parents yet. So he's like, well, they're going to sit up in front, and you're going to sit with these guys, these firefighters. And he like gave me their numbers, and he's like, their job is to like meet you at the front and like, kind of show you the ceremony and stuff. So I dressed like a fucking stewardess. I'm like, this is like, oh, it's an important ceremony. Yeah. So, and then they all had like sweatpants with like tall boys in their pockets. And then these guys, I will say they were a fucking great hang. I mean, they're all so fun. It's like hanging with comics. You can say anything to them. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Pete.
Twist
There's
the
never
knife.
a moment later if we go out where he's like, when you said this, I felt like there's never a second, like, no. And they could take like a heavy amount of ball busting because that's the firehouse kitchen. It's like the comics table. So I sat up there with all those guys, and then they make these big banners, and it says like Peter Ladder, Peter Brennan, ladder 118. And then when they call his name, they're like Peter Brennan or whatever, and they go, he's a kid now or whatever. So they go crazy, insane. And so I thought the ceremony was going to be maybe a little more serious. The guy, first of all, the accent, it was like amazing. Like it was like a cartoon. Like
he had a very thick.
Yeah, he's like, in life, when you're promoted, it's like when you go down. I was telling my wife, Diane, it's like when you're driving down a football field and you're about to make that goal. It's like when you're about to make that goal on a football field. Feels very similar. And then these guys in the back were like blowing air horns like really loudly. He's like, all right, stop, knock it off with the freaking air horns already. And then, Pete gets his cap. We come out, we come downstairs. And then in the middle of the night, so one of the guys that was supposed to like babysit me calls me maybe 6 times, pretty hammered. And he's like, I love you. I'm going to steal you from Pete. We're going to make little blue babies. I'm going to go rescue. How'd you call going rescue? Is like going blue, right? That means when you go to special rescue ops or whatever. He's like, we're going blue. I don't care if he's a cap. I'm going to go rescue. I'm going to make blue babies with you. Fuck Pete. And then he just like hangs up, right? Like at 3 missed calls at 5 a.m. And I was honestly, you guys, so excited because I was like, now Pete's going to get jealous.
You're right.
Yes. Worse when they don't care. What did you do?
So I told Pete the whole story. And he's like, yeah, he's a nutty one.
I would have been devastated.
But
no justice.
Nah, if you know the guy, you're like,
That's just what he does.
That's him. It was 4:30 in the morning. Come on.
Have you ever gotten jealous in a relationship?
Maybe like when I was in high school.
One time I remember you got a little jealous with me.
Little jealous? Okay.
Well, because I made a point and I said, because before Pete, I dated a FBI guy or whatever. And so
FBI?
I dated,
Cool.
And so I was like, when so-and-so said, when in this relationship, this happened or whatever. And I like referenced the cop or whatever. And then that was the first time you've ever given me an emotional note. And I was like excited because I was like, I know how he feels about something. And I think we went to the gym and afterwards you're like, don't bring up DXs when you're trying to make a point with your, and I was like, oh, very good point. Like I was like, you were totally right. I was totally wrong. But I was like, so excited.
So
I was
thrilled.
just like, we did it. We had an issue, and I was just like, But you were in the right, absolutely, for that one. But but I do feel like
maybe it was that then.
Yeah.
But
I do feel like he was like a librarian. Pete wouldn't have cared. I could have but it was probably because he was a little more alpha, like you. Yeah. What'd you say?
Yeah, like who cares what the librarian has to say, right?
But another badge guy. That's when we're getting into murky territory.
But you do like, a lot of males, like if you take a typical working class guy, a lot of them don't have friends. Firefighters, you guys are bonded with each other in a way that I'm like, I want that for all men.
You have a lot of boy time.
It's cool. I guess because we do everything together.
Yeah.
We check the rig together. We have chow together. We drill together. And then even like when we go in, we're going in together. So you get a lot of that camaraderie. And you're spending 24 hours with the guy,
right?
So
you smoke a lot of cigars.
Yeah, you smoke some cigars.
What kind of conversations are going on?
Everything.
But is it ever about like home life, or is it more surfacey stuff?
Oh, everything.
They undo everything I've accomplished with him in 24-hour shifts. No.
Some
They're
guys will say you could solve all the world's problems on a firehouse kitchen table.
Yeah.
And come home with a few pamphlets with every conspiracy theory edited into a YouTube video.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what happens after when he's 24?
There is some different, you do get different characters, and there is always like the conspiracy guy.
Right. Yeah.
There's like the funny guy. There's the guy who's going through the divorce. There's like the guy studying. You get like different characters. But
no, I will say the guys that are with you at your firehouse now are really nice, and they're just like a lot more grounded. And the last one you were at, when you were at MITA too, they were very chill, and they were very nice to me. I do feel like it kind of helps that even though I know that they have very mixed feelings about the amount of shit I talk, I do feel like at least like, when a comedian walks up to the Comedy Cellar table with a non-comic, like you can feel the energy change, right? And they're just like, don't bring us. They call us civilians, like don't bring a civilian up to the table. And I used to feel like that when I go to the firehouse, like you can feel like the chemicals change when I walk in the room. Like talk to Pete's White, like stiffen up, And now that I do feel like that they know that I am in fact like a deep pig, and not just some skirt, But like I do feel like they're a lot like warmer and nicer. I'm sure they're also more careful about what they say to me because the amount of smack I talk. But they're very cool and warm, and they come by the house all the time. Like like Zach comes by. And,
we got a couple guys.
And they're wonderful with Frankie, and they help with everything around the house. And it really is like a family. Sweet. Like if I need anything, they would all help me. So I mean, it is like they take. They're very warm and very insanely generous. I mean, if you have any problem, it's all just like stacks of cash, they're all just trying to help anybody that needs anything. They help. Nice. Yeah. So they're very like, they all do come by a lot and like, help out a lot with everything. And they really love Pete because he's such a good boss. Like everybody really likes it. The only complaint they have with you is when you're not there, if you have to go on medical leave, because they like you. Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
Because they say you lead without any like ego, and you're very you
feel your energy is really great. Like you have a really like. Yeah, you could hang for a long time with you. Like immediately you give that off of like there's an ease. You have an ease. To
okay,
you.
I'll take that.
Yeah, you have an ease to you. That's
no
really
toxic masculinity.
No toxic. Oh, no. Good. I like that.
But don't worry. There's regular masculinity there.
Oh, okay.
I know. Yeah, he doesn't have the chauvinist stuff. Like he doesn't have that like women should. There's none of that. Yeah, and they all cook, so they're like that's what I'm saying. They're almost like accident.
Yeah, we do.
In that sense, there's
we do all cook, right?
Yeah, we do a lot of cooking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so much. It's like your job is essentially team building, and that's a really valuable skill.
Yeah.
And life-saving.
And remember, like when we first, do you want to tell them about what happened when we first went out and you went to the date and like how you spoke to me and what happened, how I was describing?
The way we were set up is my buddy sent me a text and he goes, any interest in meeting a semi-famous Jewish comedian? Semi-famous Jewish comedian.
That's the least arousing expression
I
ever imagined.
So somehow I agreed.
That sounds fucking fun.
Yes. So then, I met her. Like I came like, I schlepped here from.
It was really cute.
And I cavalt and
Oh, that's cute.
He started speaking to me in all this Yiddish. And I was like, I speak English.
I started practicing all my Yiddish,
Yeah,
Did you Google Yiddish?
I was holding like a knish,
Oh, wow.
Nah, maybe not that part. But.
That's very cute.
That's very sweet.
I had to get the Jewish part down. So
so he came speaking like a lot of Yiddish, and I was like, we can do English from here on out. But you taught me Yiddish that night. Like you practiced so much Yiddish.
So cute. Yeah. That's so thoughtful.
Yeah.
No, I didn't look anything up. I grew up in a neighborhood that slowly started turning Jewish.
Okay, nice.
So you pick up a couple phrases.
Right.
On the streets.
What did you think after the first date with Rachel?
Right.
We had a lot of fun. It was actually very funny because, I don't know, it was the strangest thing. Like, our buddy who set us up also kind of acted a little strange, too. And then he's like, Pete's not going to take you out for dinner. And then, like, immediately afterwards, I was like, oh, Rachel, you want to go next day, you want to go out for dinner? Like, it was, what I mean?
Yeah, he kind of cock-blocked him a little bit. It was interesting.
Why?
Maybe he wanted to go out with you.
Sure.
Yeah.
It sounds like he wanted to go out with you.
We had a mutual friend, and he was married at the time, but I think unhappily so. Now he's happily married to somebody he really loves. But yeah, he was like, he set me up with Pete, but then I'm not sure he expected it to go so well. But he kind of gave me all these warnings about him.
Warnings?
Uh-oh. He's like, he's a good guy, not the kind of guy that's going to take you to dinner, though. And I'm like, what kind of guy doesn't take you to dinner?
Yeah,
like,
everybody's eating.
Yeah, right. He just kind of kept telling me all these things about it. And then when we got to the bar, my friends all called you backdraft. So when they were like, they all came with me. By the way, like I was like, I have to go to Brooklyn to meet this fireman. They're like, welcome. So they all came for this firehouse Christmas party in Brooklyn, and they were like, backdraft is supposed to be there. They all got to that like at exactly 7 or whatever. And then you weren't there. And I was like, I felt so stupid. So I'm like, fuck, I got to blow out for this. And I'm just waiting for this firefighter that's not going to show up. This is dark terrain I'm in. Yeah. And then I found out later it was because the other guy didn't tell Pete where he was supposed to go.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why it was like such a strange thing.
Whoa, he wanted a date or something. Or
It was something going on.
Yeah, there was
Something
something.
was weird.
Yeah, sometimes where you're in a weird place and you just, or you're projecting and you don't realize it.
Yeah. And then where do we go after that? I can't remember what we did for the
We
next
went to an Italian restaurant where you
yeah.
could drink out of like a bowl, like a
Like a king?
Yeah, like old school, you know. But it was cool. It was on the Upper East Side or Yorkville, and then and that was it. Then we kind of hit it off from there, right?
I remember I was like, we got.
Yeah, I think then we went like on the next date, and I remember meeting her at a bar. And as soon as I showed up, she had like an aggressive amount of mustard
On her shirt?
Oh yeah.
I spilled mustard on my shirt.
How?
Yeah. I thought he was like lifting his chin up to kiss me, and he was just like, no, there's a lot of looks like mayonnaise and mustard on your tit right there. Yeah. So
It was a good glob.
yeah.
Okay.
And then, you were like, and I was like, wait, what? And then you were like, no, you got some smear of something. And you started to tell me what it was. You're like, I think it's mayonnaise mixed with mustard, probably. But you bounced back from that pretty quick.
She played it off well, too, you know. She didn't get freaked out or anything. So,
Oh my God.
so we
was
ended
your first
up
kiss?
having a laugh about it, you know.
First kiss? I don't know. What
Yeah, I
was
think it was after our Italian wine, drinking out of a bowl.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. The first night we went out, I was like, listen, I can come over to your house, but we're not going to have sex. Because I've like never had sex outside like a relationship because I'm just whatever, super like prude, just because I'd get attached, not for any other reason.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, you're going to have a semi. It's not going to be fun for you. I used to have a joke about this. I'm like, if I was your sexual attorney, I'd recommend that you don't take this
proceed.
deal. Like you're going to get nothing out of it.
Right,
You're gonna
right,
have,
right,
like,
right,
slightly
right.
furious with a semi for the next 12 hours. And Pete was like, no problem. It's cool, kid, or whatever. So we went back to your place. And then I think we just we made out that night. And then I fell asleep. And then, you were very nice.
that's
You were
cute.
very much a gentleman. And then I think the next morning, but I did not expect to go over there. So like my underwear was like not good. I was like,
Right.
yeah.
Sometimes I do that, so I'm like, I don't want to have
So
sex.
you
I'm
don't.
going to do insurance.
Right.
Don't trust me.
But it
Yeah,
never
like,
works, especially if you're drinking.
If you're drinking,
Yeah.
forget it. My underwear was like jacked. Like there was like deep granny panties probably.
you gotta just kind of remove it stealthily.
Yeah.
And then
by yourself.
I had all this stuff in my purse that fell out. Like, so, because again, I really am like a deep mess. So like, and I'm like teeming with ADD. So I'm always leaving things everywhere. And so like, I had just gone for an audition and I think I bought like nylons for the audition or something. It was just like not sexy things that fell apart, like elder looking pantyhose and like the longest receipt from Goodwill. Like it looked like a telenovela from Goodwill.
Like the CVS receipts.
Yeah, and this is a guy that like his place was like, it was very like I could tell that he wasn't in a relationship by the way it was decorated. I was like,
Yeah,
there's
right.
no woman currently in his
Yeah.
life. They would
Yeah.
not have allowed any of these choices to be
Right.
made, but it was
Correct.
very organized, but just like man swipes at decorating. It was like pictures that where the picture you got
the
from
frame.
CVS
Yeah.
is in the frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there was like a man and a woman looking back at each other like, And so I was like, and as I was leaving your house, I leave and I'm like, fuck, I left the fucking panty. Like I knew I leave some like just clump of debris and not hot debris either. It's just like, ugh. Like a debris that you see like after you broke up with somebody. You're like, but I don't have to deal with this shit anymore.
Right.
So that you came to the door with that like pile of like change and a Goodwill receipt, and you handed it to me. And then you're like, think you forgot this. And then I go, and I turn around and I go, when you expect a sentence to be like hot and it's just like a disaster.
Yeah.
Like I took a big swing at the end because I was fighting for my life there. Like he just handed me the fucking Goodwill receipt. I'm like, I'm never seeing this guy again. I cock teased him and he's just handing me like literally like some chewed up peanuts. I'm like, it's over. It's a wrap. So I was like, I go, next time I come over, I'll wear better panties. But it's just like, it wasn't a hot sentence. It just like was not a hot sentence. Like I meant it to sound hot, but it just sounded like.
What did he say? Oh dear. What did he say? Oh dear.
Remember what he said?
Oh dear.
Yeah, something to look forward to.
All right.
all right.
Kind of a cute response.
Yeah.
It's all right. Something to look forward
And
to.
also, like, it makes you feel good, like when you have a verbal blunder, like something like that. Like you're like, oh, that made me feel better about myself. Like that's okay.
Yeah, you did say. I remember that's when I really heard your accent, which used to be like a lot thicker, or maybe I don't hear it anymore. But it was like he was like something to look forward to, and I was like, all right. Okay. So maybe, and then I left his house, and I was like, I went to my friend's house because I didn't want to call him because I was like, I really like him. I actually need supervision. I don't want to call him.
Yeah.
So I spent the night at my girlfriend's house, and my friend that set us up, Irene Bremis, really hilarious, very hot comedian who's married to a retired firefighter. She was like, don't call. He's not going to call you till after his 24 because he wasn't calling. And she's like, he won't call you till after his tour. So my friend was like, I'm like, can I just say this? Can I thank him? She's like, you don't fucking thank him. No, fuck that. Yeah. She's like, nothing to thank. Forget that. Yeah. So I didn't do it. And then you did text me after the 24 just as, you did text something.
That I don't remember.
Yeah, you texted that was so when we were at the bar at the end of the date, the first time we were set up at that Christmas party, there was this guy at the bar that kept getting kicked out and then he would come back in again. And that's very funny to me when someone's told repeatedly to leave.
Yeah.
And they're like, like I love all those 80s comedy tropes. Like that was my favorite part of Trading Places. Yes, when someone leaves and then comes back in through a variety of entrances, it's never not funny.
It really is funny.
Yes. Or a fun-loving disguise or a Santa costume. I'm like, this is all terrific.
Yeah.
So this guy who was maybe home-lish or something, he kept coming back in and he's like, and the bartender was like, buddy, you got to get out of here. Then he kind of come back in through a northern door and he's like, yeah, about this way or if I crawl. So I kept joking with Pete that was his dad, and I was like, he wants a relationship with you after incarceration. He's trying to weave whatever your relationship is going to be. And one thing I do remember is he just right away got the dumb game I was playing and he was like, I'll play this with you.
Right.
So then afterwards, I think you texted, that was the only time I believe that you've texted me a compliment. You said you said, my dad said you look very beautiful or something, or my dad said you were gorgeous or something. And I was like, it was very sweet. I mean, you had to attribute it to an imaginary character, but it was still something.
Sure. Yeah. It's coming back now. Yeah.
Do you like getting compliments, Pete?
They're okay. I'm not hungry for them where I'm I need a comp, but I guess here and there if you get a nice compliment, it's cool.
Or not
or
even,
a pat on the back kind of thing.
Yeah, or recognition.
An attaboy.
Okay.
That's what we call them at the firehouse. You get an attaboy.
Nice.
Yeah, attaboy.
When did you know Rachel was the one?
Happened pretty quick. Actually, we moved pretty quick.
Yeah.
Lesbian speed.
I don't know how fast that is, but it's fast.
Lightning.
Okay.
He said no homo.
But
I'm not gay.
right. Come on.
Oh my God.
Masculine. But I don't know. But it happened pretty quick because I don't know, before you know it, Rachel started having stuff in the apartment and and then all of a sudden she was staying more than not kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of happened, I think we dated maybe a little less than 2 years before we got married.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
When did you know
we met in November and then we got married in September of 18. We met in November of 16.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a little, but also too, we were both a little older. I think that kind of helps too.
Were you looking to get married?
Yeah, at this point, I think when I met her, I was 36. I wasn't a kid anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I wanted to have a kid.
Yeah.
So by the time we got married, I was 38.
The question was, when did you realize? These are a lot of hard stats you're giving them. You're 37, Christmas of 92. I first I think what they're asking is when you first realized that you wanted to marry me.
Some qualities about her that you knew that was this is the kind of woman I've been looking for.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say an exact moment, but I guess I don't know. We did.
I don't think they're looking for the military time, but
2,300 hours.
But when did you know and maybe why?
Yeah. Maybe 6 months in, and we were doing a lot of traveling, and it just felt easy. Because when you're traveling with someone, you're spending a lot of time with them. In the hotels and stuff, and then
it's so fun traveling with a partner.
Yeah. So then, I'd say probably in that kind of time frame.
Did you consult your friends, your family? I think I want to, or did you just do it?
Yeah, of course. And then with
Firehouse Bros.
Irene, who helped introduce us with Junior, she kind of like when it was getting time to propose, she kind of came up with the plan, and we kind of like coerced the plan kind of thing.
That's so cute.
We did the bait and switch.
So how'd you do it?
So Irene was supposed to meet Rachel in Monty's, the Italian restaurant on McDougal. We have to go down the stairs. Mm-hmm. But instead of Irene showing up, I showed up.
I never heard of that.
So then I'm thinking, I was like, it's downstairs. It's tucked away.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a nice, quiet, intimate, like, proposal. Like, I'm not looking for the whole crowd. Like, I kid you not. I open up the door. It is elbow to elbow. Every seat is taken. I had to like creep around people, and I'm just like, this is horrible.
You're breaking fire code.
totally breaking fire code. No exits, but. So then I'm just like, let me just get this over with. So then I pretty much just like...
Love that,
yeah. I was like, this is too nerve-wracking. And then I just dropped to the knee and I proposed there. And then
Were you shocked,
And
Rachel?
then some lady like in the crowd's just going, it's a proposal. Now everybody's...
Started screaming at him.
Fuck.
And then Rachel grabbed the ring before she even said yes. She
you gotta get it in a crowded space.
Guttural pig.
It could go in a vent.
Didn't even occur to me that he's supposed to put it on my finger. I'm like, I'll take this.
That's so
just
funny.
a fucking deep trash. I'm like, okay, all right.
And the lady in the crowd had to say, you have to say yes. You have to say yes.
Yes, They were all screaming at us. It was very New York. This woman was like, "It's a proposal! He's proposing!" Which, of course, Pete's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, afterwards we ended up meeting up with all these comics, Keith and Liz and everybody. But you got down on one knee. And do you remember what you said? It was simple.
Yeah, simple. Yes, I said, "You make me a happy man. Do you want to make me a happy husband?"
That's cute.
I like that.
Yeah.
Did you guys? I'm so fascinated by this. Couples, like, I guess you talk about like, do you want to get married? You feel each other out? But then like some couples will like go ring shopping, and I'm like, that takes the surprise out of it altogether. So it sounds like you were actually surprised, right?
No, I knew it was going to happen. No, I had a team of people working on these impromptu conversations with Irene. You think they were like, they brought that up? I'm like, I'm like,
so you knew like this night it was happening?
Well, I had a feeling it was going to happen that night because she didn't show up to meet me and she doesn't ask me to dinner, So I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And then Pete was like wearing a very, when he came in this really puffy coat, I felt so bad because it was so like, he's just like trying to maneuver himself with this. And I was like, he's going to propose. But like, I think we talked about it though. Like I was basically like, I just didn't think that Pete was going to want to marry me. And I was like, I'm wasting time with this guy because he's going to want a certain type of woman. He's going to want like, some nurse from Long Island or something.
Oh, okay.
So at one point I just said to him, I was like, listen, if you want to I want to get married. So if you want to just drive out to the forest and drop me off like some animal you failed to domesticate.
Wow.
And just leave me back in the wild.
That's what you said?
Yes. Remember? I told you, drive me back out like a cat that you couldn't like tame inside or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Was that surprising to you, Pete?
No, not really.
No.
But
had you ever felt like you wanted to drop her off in the woods like a cat?
all the time.
I mean,
I could picture the woods right now.
Right.
I got the map and everything. Yeah. No, I wanted to get married as well. Like I said, I wanted to have kids and everything.
To Rachel.
Yeah, to
Okay.
Rachel and, to Rachel. Right.
Thank you. I needed Diane Sawyer over there to clarify that point.
Yeah.
What was it like when you
point.
found out you were pregnant? Like, that's always like, in the reel of your life when you're at your deathbed and you look back at these moments, like that is one of the big ones, like getting married, getting proposed to, but like have positive pregnancy tests. Like, what was that like for both of you?
Well, we had already so after we got engaged, he had... So we were engaged. We were gonna. I think we were gonna get married in like 4 months or something. And
oh wow, quick!
We were doing pull-out method. No, this is when and then I found out I was pregnant. Then I ended up having a miscarriage. And so at first I was like, "Fuck, I don't want to be this pregnant on my wedding." I think it was maybe 5 months before that I got pregnant by accident. So then I ended up going to get like legally, we went to the courthouse first because I wanted to be on his insurance because I thought I was pregnant.
Yeah.
Then we had a miscarriage and we were taking dance classes at the time. And I do remember that we took, you were a really good dancer. We had fun dancing. We do a lot of dancing and karaoke.
That's great.
And
That's so cute. That's so fun. So
we were
cute.
taking this like Latin dance class and we were having a lot of fun. And then after that happened, it was, it was very sad. That was the other time I saw you,
I mean, that has
of course,
to be really
I was sobbing. You were emotional.
Yeah.
And so we decided to, and I felt guilty because I had, of course I had conflicting feelings because I didn't want to be, so it made me feel bad for having those feelings.
Yeah.
And then so we walked all the way across the Brooklyn Bridge. I remember we were like, we have to cancel this dance class. We were leaving the hospital and then we just kept walking. Yeah. And then we just kept walking. And then we ended up at the dance class and then we just did our dance lesson. And
that was the dance for our wedding. So we did like, it was like half ballroom dance and then it like stopped and then went to like a little salsa.
You switch genres?
Oh,
Cool. I love that.
So it was good. So we ended up having fun with that.
Yeah. And so we did a dance class and then I was like, but it was kind of good to go through something that, it was obviously heartbreaking at the time, but it was definitely the right timing for so many reasons.
Yeah.
But like, I do feel like it was like, oh, okay, this is how this is one skill we could use to deal with stuff. And,
totally.
And so then when we realized we went to like a doctor after we got pregnant and I got some blood work done to see if I was going to be able to get pregnant after we got married. And they were just like, I remember the nurse called me one night right before you got home and I was like, what did the blood work say? And she was like, it's not going to happen. There's no eggs. It's not going to happen. And she was like,
what?
She was so abrupt. She was like, I'm like, well, what does that mean? She goes, your score is like 0.008 or something. And I was like, well, what can you explain what that score means? And she was like, it's not good. It's like, listen to the numbers. It's not good. She's like, you can't even do IVF with that score. Like, that's how she talked to me.
Oh, dear.
So when Pete came back from the firehouse, I was like, oh my God, sobbing.
That's so upsetting.
So then and then we went to like a fertility person just to check it out, but I couldn't they had the same score, same answer. You can't do IVF. So I was like, okay, well, we'll, adopt or do a donor egg or something like that.
Yeah.
But then I went and focused on this pilot, which I then sold the pilot. And then I was like, I'm telling you, I'm pregnant. And the doctor was basically like, a lot of times when women have this idea that they might want a child, they imagine, I'm like, no, I'm pregnant.
Yeah,
like,
I
I know.
yeah.
When it was such an obnoxious response.
Right.
Christ.
So then, and then I had you park the car. I went in for to find out for sure to get the sonogram because that's how we found out before. Like when I didn't know, but you can find out the baby doesn't have a heartbeat, and I thought that was the happy moment. That was the moment where Pete was going to be sitting there, and then she was looking for the heartbeat. I thought it was like her instrument the first time, and then she's like, "No, it's not a lot," and it was so sad. So I was like, I didn't want a typical codependent. Me, like all my cocktail of issues here. I didn't want Pete to see that again. Yeah. So I was like, and I didn't want to feel as emotionally responsible for him as I felt in that moment, because of my own balance of wanting to take care of other people's whatever. So I was like, park the car. And I told him don't go to a garage. And I was like, I got in there really fast and I was like, such a manipulative Al-Anon kind of thing to do. And I was like, can you do it really fast so that I find out before, And then they were like, oh, and he walked in right at that moment. And then it was like, oh, yeah, there's your baby. Yeah.
Wow, there's your baby. That's so wild.
And there was the heartbeat. Yeah, that was the big one.
That's so...
Oh, yeah.
What do you feel during that?
Once we heard the heartbeat, it was just like, whew. Because that was like the scary moment.
Yeah. Right. But then does it dawn on you that's a person? That's gotta be the craziest experience having a child.
And then a couple months later, you get the 3D image. Then it's like, whoa,
right.
This is really happening.
Yeah.
And then we had her during COVID. So he was on the job and it was really crazy.
You were delivery?
Yeah. And then I was diabetic, they found out. And then so I needed all these extra appointments. And then I was hospitalized once because there was so much bleeding and Pete was at a car accident, so he couldn't get to the hospital. He was on the job at a car accident. So I feel like then I got this crash course of what it's going to feel like to just it was a lot of crazy shit happens. Yeah. And he was on the job. So it was people were saying that we needed to separate because he was on the job. And I was like, I don't think I can handle that. So, and then they weren't sure whether he was going to be allowed in the delivery room, et cetera.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
But then, so when we actually had the baby, I think because I'm so career oriented and I had considered all the hard aspects of how I would juggle this. Like, I think a lot of women, when they put it on a pedestal, they have a baby and they go into kind of like a dark spiral to the realities in this. But I think like, again, typical, like pre-controlling, been in a lot of trauma. Like I'd like thought of every potential. So I was like very pleasantly surprised because it was like, I was just like, oh my God, it's so like, it was just this immediate, it was very fun and very exciting. And like,
is it a love you've never experienced before kind of thing? I've always heard people say that. I'm like, really?
Yeah, it was crazy. I told my friend, I was like, what if I don't connect to her? And like, and you do hear that happen sometimes, but she was like, you're gonna, And again, I think it was partly because I thought I'd gone through every other thing that it was like, so I mean, it was insane, but it still feels like it's made up because I had a C-section because I was like, I didn't want to be a hero. I'm like, I don't want to give birth in fucking grapes. Fuck it. Yeah. And then they were like, that's a way to control, to make sure he's in the room with you, to get a planned C-section. But also I was like, I'm not fucking ripping my vag up. You know, like Pete's mom was like, the Brennan head will shred you. And she was like, they all have big heads. It'll shred you, Rachel. I was icing my vagina for weeks.
Oh my God.
Like, okay, I've heard enough.
I just scheduled my C-section.
Just scheduled it.
Wow.
And here's what a twat I am. I was like, I want a small scar. And I kept bothering them about that. And then they gave me a small scar. But during the actual procedure, that's all you have to be like a tireless twat, and they give you the scar you whine about.
Nice.
During the procedure, the guy was like, she wants a small scar. And the other doctor was like, I know. She told me that like 100 times.
I didn't know you could request.
I was like, I
Who
guess.
wants a big scar?
I know.
Oh, you were there during the C-section?
Yeah.
So they take your organs and put it on a table.
Yeah, but they
Did
put,
you see that?
No, they put like a sheet, so you can't see any of that stuff.
Yeah.
You didn't want to see it? Yeah.
Nah, that's a little too much.
I feel like I'd want to see it.
Yeah.
Because you can't feel it, right? You just feel pulls and stuff. I'd be like,
it was the fastest thing I've ever experienced. Like,
really?
It was like, I swear to God, and I have a timestamp too. It was like 12 minutes. I was like, how the fuck did this happen so fast? We went in the room. It was like, I thought it was the beginning of like the medicine kicking in, and then they just like hand me the baby.
Whoa.
It was insanely fast. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I think it was longer stitching her back up than it was.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it was so fast. The birth itself, like, I did not enjoy being pregnant at all. But like,
you didn't?
No.
Everybody feels so differently about it. And
but also I think all the trauma that was going on in my life with not knowing what was happening with COVID, and he was on the job every day, and like being hospitalized, and I had to prick myself because like they couldn't get me my extra appointment. So it was a crazy. But then when she was there, the birth was fantastic because it was just so quick. I mean, it was like an operation. I'm like, why doesn't everybody do this? Like, I want to fucking So then and then I feel like it was kind of a nice blessing in a way, because then we weren't allowed to leave the room, and so we were just like the three of us, and they just help you, and you're just like holding this little bit, like it's the sweetest thing in the world. And to this day, when she comes in the room, I'm always like, I can't believe I just like made this person that like rounds a corner and like says funny shit. It's very funny.
I imagine she's very funny.
Yeah,
she's so
good.
cute.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And completely obsessed with Pete. So she just like runs
she's
down
daddy's a
there.
girl.
Yeah. I will say everything that I had wanted you to do, and then you did it when we were going to have a baby. Like, I was like, you need to do this, and you can't do that anymore, and you got to come back from the firehouse and not sit around there. Now it's like straight home. He's, and Pete's mom, your mom was like, Peter needs a girl to soften his heart. She said, if Peter has a boy, because he is a competitive, he will push him. She was right too. She's like, he will push him too much. But a girl, she can do anything. She can be a ballerina. She can be a firefighter. He's not going to care, my Peter. And that is how it is. Yeah. Like,
did it soften you, Peter?
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah, I feel like men having daughters, that does something to you that I can't put words to because I don't know what it's like, but like it does something very specific to a man having a daughter, like to your heart and to your. Like, do you, like my brother, he has a son, but I remember he was like, he cared about things in a totally different way ever since he had his kid. And it's beautiful to watch him like become a dad. Like, do you get, because if it's a daughter, do you get prematurely like, when you start dating, I'm gonna fucking get my Fire X.
I ask guys about that at the firehouse because a lot of guys have older kids and stuff, and it's pretty funny, you know. The big thing I'm hearing right now is you kind of lose them from like 12 to like 16-ish or like that. Yeah. But then they come back to you.
Yeah.
So I heard for girls, that's like the tough phase. Like now is like the easier phase. Kind of thing.
Because you're just an adorable child.
Yeah,
I think it depends though. I mean, like, I don't think you have to lose them. So Don't like prepare to lose her. Maybe she'll be there the whole time.
Right. But it just seems like they get like super independent. They know it all, or they just want to be with their friends, or they want the door closed and like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to be seen with their dad,
Yeah. Like drop me off around the corner.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she knows for sure, like I was like, I'm gonna be the permissive parent. Like I'm like, I'm a comic. I don't care. I don't run a tight ship. I don't run a ship at all. But like, but it's funny with Pete. It's just like I'm like, she's got to go to her bed in her bed, and like we read her stories, and she comes in ours later. But like with Pete, it's like she's up at like they're watching movies. They're watching like Casino, and she's like, what the fuck is Frankie watching? Yeah, she's like, he dresses her like Steve Jobs. He's always in like a black turtleneck I didn't know she owned or whatever.
That's so cute.
No, they hang like hard all day. Like he is, but the thing I also feel like you are a worker, so he likes tasks, right? So like your acts of service. So these emotional questions are more of a challenge. He likes like, so all those like things you need to do, like change like this, like that's, he's like, he's action. He wants to keep going. So he's very into like take her to the park. Like he's very activity oriented. Yeah. So that I feel like you guys are always like off on like some adventure or something like that. Yeah. And you bring her, to Costco, and you're always like running around town together.
Aww.
Yeah.
Do you ever take her to the firehouse and
she's been to the firehouse. I slid down the pole for her a couple times. She likes that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So sweet.
And there's always cereal or ice cream at the firehouse. So
and then
she always gets one or the other.
Yeah,
sometimes both.
Yeah, the guys like get stiff now because now he's a chief. So he's got like a driver, and he's got, so like there's, whenever we come in, they like pull out all the stops.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
She's what's it? What does it eat? Ice cream? What should it? So they're just like, and Frankie's just like cocky about it. She loves it. Yeah. Also, I will say she doesn't like, she's not like, the only problem is like since she's been raised half at the firehouse, she's always hanging out there. She's always like leaning on some guy, like some fireman watching like a YouTube video that he's showing her or something. Yeah. She calls, I talk about this on stage, but she calls me sweetie. She's like, sweetie, I'm watching a video.
Oh, yes.
Lou is what they call lieutenant. She's like, I'm watching a video with the Lou. Like, just, like.
Oh my God. That's so
I will
funny.
say, like, she's so extroverted that I have to teach her that like men are bad.
Right.
She's like, I mean, I'm joking.
Like, she says she says hello to random people.
I've read her like every stranger danger book, and she's just like, hi, what's going on? How's your take on, where are you from? What's your name? Like every strange man. We
just in Vegas, it was a girl walking by, and she goes, I like your shoes.
She's fun.
Yeah. She does also give people a lot of things, and I realize like she's got a little bit of me like overcompensating. I also always give people an out. Like I'm like, do you want to come over later or no? And now that's how she asks people to hang out. She's like, do you want to come for a play date or no? Like,
do you guys want a second one?
No.
Nah, we want it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like one sounds perfect.
Yeah. 2 sounds like not like twice the work, but like 3 times the work.
Right. Yeah.
Like, just too much.
Yeah, and you just have to go through all the things again.
Yeah. Like she's in a good phase. Like once like the potty training and all that, it's like this is fun now.
Yeah.
This is easy.
Yeah, this is when they really start writing. Like they're coming into your room with good lines.
They tell you what they want. You know.
Yeah.
You don't have to guess. So this is good.
Yeah, like, and then I think like, we were in a cab the other day, and I took her to my first podcast. Like last minute, Pete had to do a 24, and so I brought her with me to this podcast. And then afterwards, it was like, I was like, okay, she could watch a video outside. Like I made this work somehow. And then I got back in the car afterwards. I was like so proud of myself, Yeah. And then I'm like, I'm juggling it all. And then the Uber driver like turns around and like smiles. And I was like, and then we had brought dolls. So we were like talking back and forth with our dolls, me and Frankie. And I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm going to the mall or whatever. And I'm like, oh, what are you going to do then? And then Frankie goes, both my parents just died. And I was like, what the fuck? Okay. And then I call Pete. I'm like, did you fucking show her a casino or something? How the fuck does she know this? And the Uber driver, by the way, was like immediately like very alarmed for me and like changed his whole view. Like if there was a window, he would have closed it like hard. He was like, you're on your own, you sick bitch. Like, why are you teaching her this stuff?
Yeah,
and I go,
that was Spider-Man. She watched Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh. I call Pete flipping out. I'm like, what the fuck did you show her? Did she ask me this? I was like, did you show her Casino? And he was like, no, I swear to God, it was adult Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. She picked it. She's like, oh, like she acted like she's seen it.
Yeah.
And I guess in the beginning, there's a scene where The plane goes down, and she remembered that.
And then I go, Frankie, where did you hear that? She said the same thing. She goes, no, Daddy's telling the truth. There was adult Spider-Man. And she goes, a lot of parents pass away in these films.
That's true. I was going to say Batman's parents, too. I was like, a lot of superheroes have dead parents.
All the parents are always getting killed off.
Yeah. Simba, Lion King.
Yeah.
She's watched Lion King a couple times, so she's getting it.
Yeah.
She's named after his grandfather, who was a firefighter. And so she's little Frankie. Yeah. Little Frankie Tanky. Her real name is Elena Francis, but we call her Frankie.
Are there girl firefighters?
Yeah, there's a couple out there.
Couple?
There's one in the
I worked with I worked with two of the sisters that were on the job.
Cool.
Yeah.
What if she wanted to become a firefighter?
Who, Frankie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have no problem with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
What if she wanted to become a comedian?
A comedian?
It sounds like she's already on her way.
I'd rather she be a firefighter.
I think so too.
Sounds very funny.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe she could do both.
Yeah.
That could be her side job.
Yeah.
But remember you took me to the firehouse and that female firefighter, what was her name again? She was really good.
Yeah, Deanna.
They were talking about a female firefighter on the phone one day, and I was just like being such a fucking nosy bitch. I started like listening. I'm like, let me see how they support her.
Yeah.
They say
Yeah.
that.
Good.
I would do that too.
So I heard Pete and this other guy talking about her, and he's like, oh yeah, she got the chops. She got like, and it was just all, I was pretty impressed. I was like, I feel like in the 1950s, this would have been a very different conversation.
Yeah.
But they were all just like talking about what she could or could, like, you know, it's just like, oh, she's good. She's new. Like the way they would talk about any new guy. Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh, she's good. And I asked Pete, he's like, oh, she's great. And so I met her, and it was so cute. She took me up to her locker and opened it up, and she had like a little firefighter Barbie in her locker.
That's
so
cute.
I know.
Yay. That's
Yeah,
so
she's
cute.
amazing. What is her full name again? Like she could go.
Deanna Melnick.
Yeah, she's incredible. Yeah, and her sister are like these badass firefighters.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's cool.
They're
I
really
would
good.
want to interview
I think
a
she's
female
a fire
firefighter.
marshal now.
Oh, is she a fire
Ooh.
marshal now? Yeah, and she had.
So now she carries a gun.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell yeah, Deanna.
Hot.
Wait, do you have a gun?
No, you gotta be a marshal to get a gun.
Wait, a fire marshal carries a gun?
Yeah, because they're like fire police.
What's the fire?
Do you shoot the fire?
Yeah, you
Like
can't.
they'll make the arrests if they find arson.
Oh, arson arrests. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they get the guns and everything. So.
Oh.
Your friend Kevin's a fire marshal.
Yeah, so no, he's back. He ended up becoming a lieutenant now, so he's back in the field.
Yeah, but fire
kinda
marshals
boring.
are like a detective. Basically, they go and they tell you if the fire is suspicious. And Kevin, he was always really funny. He was a fun firefighter too, but he was like, he's a good hang. And he used to tell you like they would go to a fire, and then he would always say the same thing to the lady. He'd be like, "Ma'am, I'm not going to rest until I get to the bottom of what happened right here." Then he'd look at Pete and go, "Let's get some lunch." But but he was a great marshal. That was just like his joke. But he was pretty funny, and he was a fun hang. Yeah, but the marshals, like you always tell me, you understand their jobs because whenever we watch like some murder on TV, you'll always tell me, I'm like, is that fire suspicious? And you always tell me if it is or not. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. He can always tell, like, if a fire is like, you know, he'll be like, nah, it's probably suspicious because it is these reasons and that reason. Yeah, you're always like really quick to get me. You also always size up a building and you'll be like, that's how we'd have to escape. We'd have to get through there. And it's got a nice slanted roof. So we could, he's told me many times our house is pretty flammable. But.
Wow. Well, you got a survivalist there on your hands. When, you know, if the
Yeah,
world-
you would just hit it with the can, right?
Hit it with the can.
Hit it with the fucking can.
Oh, my
Anyway.
God, the can.
But yeah.
This was great. Thank you. We're honored to be your first podcast, Pete.
Yeah,
you were
it was great.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Killed
thank
it.
you.
Yeah, you really did. Any last words? Anything you want to promote? Rachel, obviously your special Big Guy on Netflix is so fucking funny.
Thank you.
have to
Big
watch
Guy
it.
on Netflix. Also, I am about to announce a new tour tomorrow. I just waited because the summer, like after the special, I just kind of wanted to write a little at first, but it's called the Under Medicated Tour. So I'll be.
I love it.
So I tried to call it the America's Favorite Pig Tour, and they were like, no, you cannot. I was like,
gonna get
why
some
not?
pups.
America's Favorite Pig is fun, but everybody was like, don't call yourself a pig. I was like, how about America's Fun-Loving Pig?
I love it.
My tour names were so bad. I was like, how about Buttloads of Class Tour? They were like, no.
Loads of questions.
Isn't that fun?
These are fine.
That's great.
I think these all work.
Zine title.
I think these all work.
Yeah, but no, it's called Under Medicated Tour, and the tickets are on. Follow me on Instagram, Rachel Feinstein _ or at punchuplive.comedy or Rachel-Feinstein.com, and they have all the road dates.
Pete, you want to promote anything?
Man, I got nothing.
Fire safety? Promote fire safety?
Stop, drop, and roll. There you go.
I think that's a good catchphrase for
That's
you.
the tip
Oh,
for
and
the
what
day.
causes most fires? You've told me this before, like things you wouldn't
Candle.
expect. Not the curling irons, but
Oh, nah, that causes the most. But dryer fires, you got to clean the lint out of your dryer.
Oh, my building caught fire because
You know
of a
what?
dryer fire.
yeah.
Good tip. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Hey, you don't think about
There's
it. You
the
go, I
takeaway.
clean it. Yeah, you really
Yeah.
think about it.
You
There
got
you
to clean out that lint. You always
And
say.
we have a fire extinguisher in studio.
I love
right there.
safety.
Wow.
I'm
You could
impressed.
show them how to use it. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
have
we have no
idea.
clue. I have no
idea.
clue. It would be
If fire goes out, I got to take 10 minutes to read the directions.
I would have to. I would be on YouTube, like how to extinguish fire. But we do have it,
Good.
so
You're halfway there.
yeah. Is it like a grenade? Do you pull out a pin?
Yeah.
Pull the pin
yeah.
out.
They pull a pin.
and then you just aim
And
and,
then
shoot.
you aim and
That's it.
shoot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Squeeze,
We got it.
squeeze.
Pull
We got
the
it.
pin out and squeeze. That's it.
That's
Okay.
it. Point,
hard.
point and squeeze.
I figured it had to be pretty user friendly. If they're just everywhere.
Because you got to think on your feet.
You gotta figure, yeah.
yeah.
And is there an instance, like, is there a certain type of fire that we don't use the extinguisher, that we should use something else or just run?
Oh.
Oh, that one's pretty good. That ABCD for that
On
you see here.
electrical fire is fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you say,
Anything-
ABC?
That's
What
an
is that?
ABC extinguisher. That's for like the class of fires that it puts out.
But I thought ABC is when you are asphyxiated.
control.
yeah,
or something.
that's for medical stuff. That's another
There's two
acronym.
ABCs?
Yeah, yeah.
Like 10
What's the other
ABCs.
ABC?
Like one's like regular combustible,
Ass,
B is
butt.
like liquid fire, C is like electrical fire. Oh. So you could put them on any of those three.
Okay.
And you're good.
And so that would be any of the kind of fires that could potentially erupt in this room would be within the class of.
Yeah, I would say.
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So they have a perfect extinguisher.
Perfect.
Now, question. These heaters. Yeah, let me just, why have you here?
No, please,
Can you
yeah.
not have fabric against them? You know the heaters that like the metal poles. Can you not put stuff against them? Will that cause a fire or no?
I mean,
It'll just melt something.
you would need to get like a spark or something. It might melt something if it's
Okay,
too
but no
close.
fire.
Because there's always like hot pipes in New York,
Yeah.
but there's not a lot of room, so you sometimes got to lay
You gotta
fabric
shit
against
on
them.
Yeah, those are like the steam pipes, right?
Yeah.
No, that you'll be fine.
Those don't
with
cause fire.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, you'll be all right with
But the
those.
space heaters can cause a fire if you don't unplug them.
Space heaters got to be careful.
Yeah, space heaters are very.
Those batteries.
The hot item now is lithium ion batteries.
Yeah.
Those
Okay.
things, that's
all
the-
these Uber and like Uber Eats people, like all their scooters are catching on fire
Oh.
because of these batteries. They're just exploding.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Fast too.
Yeah.
What has lithium ion batteries?
Anything that has like that you have to charge. Kind
So
of.
is that any rechargeable batteries, lithium ion?
No, but like for like the bigger ones, for like
Yeah,
the bikes
for
and
the
things like
e-bikes,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
those are
that's
diesel.
the one. Yeah, like your phone would be all right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, there's nothing that we have to like watch for in terms of our Amazon Prime purchases.
No, your Amazon Prime is very safe. Trust me, we get a lot of those. You would think we have stock in Amazon.
What's the dumbest fire you've ever put out? Like for the dumbest reason?
The dumbest
the fire
fire? Like an actual fire?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
That you're like, are you fucking
or
serious?
how about the dumbest call?
sometimes we'll get a call for like in the subway. It'll be like a subway fire, and it'll end up just being like literally like a little piece of paper.
That
Like,
someone could have just stomped on with their shoe.
and like, or we'll show up and the thing's already self-extinguished.
Right.
I have called the fire department a lot on the trash cans. Sometimes trash cans will just go up in flames.
Trash
You're like,
cans
what the
too.
fuck just happened? I was standing here for 10 minutes. And then it just went up in flames.
Yeah.
What are people throwing away, cigarettes or what's
Cigarettes.
happening?
Cigarettes,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I always put the cigarette out fully, and then you put it in the trash.
And then you
Very
get
good.
class threes. What do you get the most of? You get
You
class
get a lot of
threes, or you
class
get
threes.
odor gas, and that's when some guy thinks he smells gas, and then it turns out it's like nothing.
Yeah, odor or something. Yeah, we get a lot of passerbys. They think they smell stuff.
Well, I will say I called the fire department on gas, and they mocked me at first, and then they said, "Oh, you were right. Actually, it was leaking in the
Wow,
basement."
that's really dangerous. You saved a lot of people's
I
lives.
called
right?
the fire department on gas once, and it was a pizza parlor down this. They left their ovens on, and they were like, "Huh, we don't know where it's coming from." And then they had to come a third time, the fire department, and they're like, "If this went on for 20 more minutes, you would have been dead. It would have exploded."
Wow, you guys both saved people's lives.
I grabbed my dog. I ran out, and I said, "I'm making this call from
Yeah.
outside."
But
Nice.
when I see a trash can on fire, I'm like, I call 911. No, you don't call. I'll call because you got to stay.
Didn't some lady once tell you to take her boots off when she called?
Yeah, I've had that.
He was like, not on this carpet.
You guys do stomp through no matter what. I feel like the level, if it's not that serious, maybe you could do less stomping.
I'll put the little booties
because I have
on.
like framed photos in my wall, and there was a lot of stomping, and they're
so much shit
They're so
on you.
beefy. I was like, watch out, these are fucking Vincent Price lobby cards, so please don't touch them. One of a kind.
Yeah, we're not too good with the finesse.
No,
Yeah.
it's finesse doesn't save lives.
No,
Did she say
no.
never mind or something? Like,
Yeah, we're not taking our boots off. Like,
Yeah.
she was like, the rules are the rules. They were like, all right,
Not
man.
for me.
Well, yeah. And then she called for like nothing. It was like something.
yeah, it was nothing.
But I remember one time I was locked inside my apartment, and then the firefighters broke through the door, and because I had to go to Sirius, and I didn't have any of the tools.
Right.
And so my doorknob wasn't working, so
Yeah.
I couldn't like screw it back in. And I was like, I got to be at Sirius at 9:15.
Somebody's gonna call the fire department.
Yeah, like I got an interview.
So you called the fire department for that?
Yeah, and they came fast as shit because P was the chief of the Upper West. Yeah, so they came in like 2 minutes, and then they were banging down the door with a fucking axe. And I swear to God, while they were banging the door down, I was like putting on more lipstick. I was like, I better look good for this.
Like so
yeah,
wet.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they
Expect
came
that.
through, and like I swear to God, it felt like 2 minminutes. It was like 4 guys
Wow.
in my living room. Yeah. And they were like, all clear, Cap, all clear.
Also, I thought of something else. You know, when you park in front of a fire hydrant, like if people are parked in front of the fire hydrant that you have to use,
Yeah.
do you break through the car?
It's been done. Yeah,
That sounds
that's not
fun.
just
Because
in
it's
the
some
movies.
dipshit that parks in front. I know I've done it too, but do cars actually get like broken through so that you could hook the hose up?
It's happened. Yeah, there's
Wow.
definitely pictures of it out there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And they can break into any car too, because you have to break into cars a lot. Because for car accidents, like they have
Right.
like they use these things,
Jaws of
these
life?
big giant. Yeah, how did you know we were called Jaws of
I
Life?
don't know. I just knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone by accidents on the highway. And I'm like, whoa! Like if I've seen firefighters prying people, I'm like, whew, that is not for the meek of heart. That job.
That's it. Jaws of life.
Yeah.
She loves to use that term.
And then when I got, because it's like one of the 3 tools I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that time I came by the firehouse? Like I was like Captain Brennan's upstairs, but they didn't know me, and I go, oh, just say the Jews in the lobby on the thing, and they were like, I was trying to get on the radio, and I was like, just say we got a Jew in the lobby, Jews in the lobby. And they were like, we can't say that, man. And then instead he got on, he was like, boss, your boss is here. And then Pete came down smoking a fat stick.
Yeah, a nice
Yeah.
cigar.
Yeah,
so
but it was
funny.
kind of cute. Now that he's like a chief, they give him a nice salute.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Put some respect on your name.
A little
Well,
respect.
thank you for all you do for me, and emotionally, I hope you really grow from this. Shit. These girls gave you a lot of hot tips. Now all you got to do is use them shits. All right, I'll shut up.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you
Yeah,
for your
thanks for
service.
having
Thank you
us.
for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
This has been Guys We Fuck, the anti-slut shaming podcast. We'll talk to you next Friday.